There are stories that entertain us, and then there are stories that completely change the way we look at life. When I started learning about Sylvester Stallone, I realized that before he became one of the biggest action stars in Hollywood, he was simply a man who refused to quit, no matter how cruel life became. His journey began on July 6, 1946, in New York City, but the very first moments of his life were filled with pain. During childbirth, doctors accidentally damaged nerves in his face with forceps, leaving part of it permanently paralyzed. That injury gave him the slurred speech and unique facial expression that millions later recognized around the world, but as a child, it made him the target of constant teasing and bullying. His parents' troubled marriage eventually ended in divorce, and the emotional scars of growing up in a broken home stayed with him for years. School wasn't any easier. He struggled academically, was expelled more than once, and many people believed he would never amount to anything. But even when the world doubted him, there was something deep inside him that refused to give up. He found comfort in fitness, acting, and the dream of remember. When he finally moved to New York and later California to chase that dream, reality hit him hard. He was rejected in audition after audition because casting directors thought his face, voice, and appearance didn't fit Hollywood standards. There were days when he barely had enough money to eat. He lived in tiny apartments, slept in bus stations, and wondered how much longer he could survive. At one point, his financial situation became so heartbreaking that he sold his beloved dog, Butkus, because he couldn't afford to feed him. Imagine the pain of looking into the eyes of your best friend and saying goodbye simply because you were too poor. Most people would have given up right there, but Stallone didn't. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 1975, he watched Muhammad Ali fight Chuck Wepner, an unknown boxer who shocked the world by refusing to quit. That fight lit a fire inside Stallone. He rushed home and, over just a few days, wrote the screenplay for Rocky. Producers loved the script and offered him hundreds of thousands of dollars for it, but there was one condition: they wanted another actor to play Rocky. Stallone had spent his entire life hearing people tell him he wasn't good enough, and this time he refused to listen. He turned down life-changing money because he believed in himself more than anyone else did. Eventually, the studio agreed to let him star in the film for a much smaller paycheck. With his first payment, he immediately tracked down the man who had bought Butkus and paid far more than he had received just to bring his best friend back home. That moment alone tells you everything about the kind of man he was. When Rocky was released in 1976, it became an unforgettable success. Audiences around the world saw more than a boxing movie, they saw hope. The film won the Academy Award for Best Picture, and overnight, the struggling actor everyone had ignored became one of Hollywood's brightest stars. But Stallone didn't stop there. He created another legendary character, John Rambo, showing the world a different kind of hero, one who carried invisible emotional wounds while fighting impossible battles. Through the years, he became one of the biggest action stars in history, but fame never meant his life became perfect. He experienced painful career failures, harsh criticism, and heartbreaking personal losses, including the devastating death of his son, Sage, in 2012. No parent is ever prepared for that kind of grief, yet Stallone somehow found the strength to keep moving forward. Instead of allowing tragedy to define him, he poured his emotions into his work and continued inspiring millions through films like Creed, proving that even legends can rise again after being knocked down. What touches me most about Sylvester Stallone's journey isn't the awards, the fame, or the fortune. It's the fact that every obstacle life placed in front of him became another reason to fight harder. He transformed rejection into determination, pain into purpose, and failure into fuel. Every time I watch his story, I'm reminded that success doesn't belong to the smartest, the luckiest, or the most talented. It belongs to the people who refuse to quit when life tells them they should. Sylvester Stallone didn't become a legend because life was easy. He became a legend because every time life knocked him to the ground, he chose to stand back up one more time, and to me, that's the true meaning of greatness. His journey proves that our beginnings never decide our endings, and sometimes the people the world underestimates become the very ones who inspire generations to dream bigger, fight harder, and never stop believing that tomorrow can be better than today.